Hi, I'm Mike Marino, and this is a brand new episode of Live from My Mother's Basement. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Live from My Mother's Basement. What the fuck you laughing at? I didn't even say anything.
I thought of something funny.
Holy
I have to tell you
shit.
later.
No figure. A comedian thinking about something funny.
Well, yeah.
I don't know where you are in the world, ladies and gentlemen. I hope it's a nice evening and you're watching the show. I hope it's the morning. Wherever. We air every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, Jersey time, 5 o'clock, the other school's time, or whatever the hell it's called. But we are live in my mother's basement in the studio here in Los Angeles, and he came all the way from deep in the valley. His name is Rocky Whatule. He's a phenomenal comedian. What's up, buddy?
My friend.
Thank you so much.
Deep in the valley.
Deep in the valley.
We're in Palmdale. That's the Antelope Valley.
Well, I'm not really a Californian.
No,
I mean, I've been here for a long time, but I don't even really know where I am.
No, you're fine. When I moved into Antelope up in the AV, they said, do you have a gun? And I was like, well, no. And they're like, well, here, we want you to have one. It needs to be fair for everybody.
The Antelope Valley. He called it AV.
The AV.
Don't expect me to know acronyms, man. AV.
AV.
He lives in the Antelope Valley. California people probably laughing right now.
Sure,
everybody else is going, why does he have a gun? Does he live in a bad neighborhood?
Nobody gets
No, he goes hunting. I would assume he goes hunting.
Because it's the Antelope
Valley.
Antelope. The Antelope Valley.
He's from the East Coast. The only hunting he knows is people he don't like.
That's true.
That's why he lives in AV.
That's it.
He's hiding. There's no Italians in Antelope Valley.
No.
There's no pizza. There's no macaroni. There's pizzelles, I heard.
There's pizzelles.
Not here in my house.
Okay. I'm going to hear about this forever.
He came over here. He was talking about how he made this nice Italian cookie.
We did the Feast of Seven Fishes.
Oh, was that right?
We did the Feast of Seven Fishes. I invited you. You were in Jersey. You couldn't come. But with that, you can't just have, the fishes. You also have to have lasagna. You have to have, for the people who don't like seafood. And then 4 dozen pizzelles.
Really? And you made them yourself. Mm-hmm. And you have what makes them? A machine?
Pizzelle iron.
I never even...
it looks like a waffle.
I didn't have a grandmother that made that. The aunts made that. Grandmother didn't make that. But I never saw that machine in the house.
Yeah, I don't think my grandmother's pizzelle iron was ever clean.
Oh, really?
When I inherited it from her, it was like yellow. And I'm like, I should wash this. And it was silver. It was like chrome. But she never washed, because that grease is what makes it taste so good and why we never got sick. Because
I can go for pizzelle right now with a nice cappuccino. You break it in half like you're saying a prayer at church, a little host, and then you dip it and you live in large.
That's it.
But not today because you didn't bring any.
The last one was burnt. I didn't even throw that burnt one away. I slightly,
it was burnt.
You just keep putting the burnt one in the bottom of the pile.
I have a burnt one.
You have a burnt one?
Usually just the edges that burn.
No, this was 100% like, it looked like it was chocolate. That's how bad it was. But the rest, other ones, fantastic.
You fucked up the pizzelle.
I did.
You know what's funny? We all celebrate the Feast of Seven Fishes or whatever that is, but my whole life I was allergic to fish. Why are you laughing at that part? I couldn't stand it. I would never want to look at it. I never had calamari or calamari in my entire life.
So you never had banyakal?
No, I never had bacala. I got a bacala right in the face.
Bacala, give you a good bacala?
Yeah, my father used to say, I'm going to give you the bacala, which means you're going to get your ass kicked. But I never ate it.
So you're allergic to fish?
Oh, it's disgusting to me.
Did your family go, well, have you tried it? Like in the Italian family, nobody's allergic to anything. They think you just don't like it, and that's your excuse. They're like, well, just try it. Let's see. Oh, no, your throat's closed. Yeah, you're allergic. That's how it goes. Yes. Am I wrong?
No, that was the way it did it. My Uncle Tommy, he would go like this. Antoinette, your son's choking. Did you feed him the fish? Yeah. Well, he's dying. Roll him around. How do I help him? Give him a ginger ale.
Try some Coca-Cola syrup. Give him Coca-Cola syrup.
Give him a ginger ale.
Rub some witch hazel on the back of his neck. He'll be fine.
Crack him in the back of the head.
That's how it was. And that's how anything was. I'm allergic to nuts. Well, try pistachios. Like, that's how they work.
Have a pistachio.
It's
not a nut. That's why it's red.
Pistachios. They're out of the shell. These come done shelled. You'll be fine. Like,
did you ever have a pistachio and for some reason or other it fucks up your nail?
yes, those things are sharp as hell. Like you couldn't, 9/11, you couldn't take fingernail clippers on, but you could take a bag of pistachios and you could kill an entire mercenary group of 15 people. Stabbing them with pistachios.
What happened to Anthony? He died eating pistachios. By eating them, no, his finger was bleeding.
That's why they're red.
Yeah, they're the best though, pistachios. You know, I don't know if anybody knows this, but there's pistachios in mortadella.
I did not know that.
See, okay, here comes the history.
I did not know that.
Mortadella is that big fucking chunk of healthy bologna,
right,
with white cheese in it, and anything else that they can find.
Healthy bologna.
And pistachio nuts. It was said you were lucky if you got one because there's not that many in there.
So they put it in just for a little bit of flavor.
Yeah, I guess. You know, like a supersad or a hard salami, every once in a while you eat that thing that's hotter than fucking hell.
Yeah, like I thought it was like a pepper.
Like a pepper.
Like I thought like it was one of the round black little peppers that didn't get like ground up. And that's, you know.
Yes, it's big. It's nasty.
You can actually chip a tooth on it.
Yes. Yeah. And if you bite it, your day's ruined. You got to go around that. Only the old grandmas can eat that shit. They spit it out all day.
It's like when you eat a piece of ham and you leave the bone, right?
Yeah.
Like the old.
I don't like
my
ham.
Gosh. Dude.
All right, so this is the food portion of the show. Now I'm hungry. I need a fucking sandwich.
Right now, everybody's watching this. They're like, who is he? I have no idea. Is he on this Olympic ski team? I have no idea. What Mike's got a guy. It's like he's the Olympic skier. I'm not sure.
His name is Rocky.
Rocky.
Think he's Italian?
Yeah.
Rocco.
Let's see. I keep bumping the
Stop
thing.
fucking hitting
What's
the
an
table.
earthquake? Every time I do this, people start to pray. They're like, there's an earthquake in Los Angeles. I just saw it live. Pray for Michael.
One of the funniest comedians on the circuit today is Mr. Rocky Whatule. Met him a long time ago doing the circuit around Hollywood, California, and then in the Valley, you know, the AV.
That's a
part of that. But you're originally from
Pittsburgh. Born in Pittsburgh, and you know what? You're scratching the surface of the story. So in my mother's basement, I'm watching.
All right, wait a minute. We're going to set him up.
Okay.
I knew he was going to have fun telling this story. I think it's a great story. I didn't know the story until I met him, and it made me feel really, really good. So go ahead. The stage is yours.
So I'm in my mother's basement, right? And I'm probably stick handling. I played hockey, you know, so I'm stick handling, watching TV. I was watching the Martin Short show. That's what I just watched TV, stick handling, and they say, you know. My mother screams down because she's watching the same show upstairs because, you know, we have two TVs and we just couldn't watch TV together because that's, you know, you don't do that as a young kid. And so I got to be like 16, 17. And my mom screams, turn it up. There's this Italian comedian on the Martin Short show. And I'm going, Italian comedian? And I turn it up. And then Mike pops on and I go, it's got to be the next guy. This guy's blonde. This isn't, you know, it doesn't look Italian here. And then you started talking and I was just like mesmerized. So the house could have exploded and I'm just watching everything. And I said to myself, I go, someday I want to do comedy and I'm going to work with that guy. I want to work with that guy. And so skip ahead to about 5 years later, I'm out in LA and I meet Mike at the Comedy Store and he saw me perform and he's like, hey, I got a job for you. And that was my first paid gig 30 days into LA. My first paid gig was emceeing for you. I want to say it was was where they had the bullfighting. Was it the Argentine?
Yes.
Yeah, it was the
Oh my God. Artesia.
Artesia, yeah. It was crazy, but it was
I think it was Greek.
Was it Greek? It was something. I just remember they're like, do you want to see the bullpen? And I'm like, do you guys have a bullfighting pen? Like, what is this? But it was a great show. And it was like my first dream in LA come true. And I thought at that moment there, all my Hollywood dreams are just going to fall into place. And now I'm live in a basement in LA.
And they still have comedy at that place. So if you want to go back out.
Dude, it was crazy, man.
Yeah. That's right. That was in Artesia. They had a bullfighting ring. It wasn't Spanish. It wasn't Mexican. It was like not Armenian. I could have sworn it was like a Greek
I thought it was
association.
Argentinian. Was it Argentinian?
No.
You'll find out.
They had an
Maybe
organization.
Portuguese. Which is interesting. I just came back from Portugal.
Is that right?
We'll talk about that later. Yeah.
Wow.
So
what a long time ago, and what a great story, and see how nice everything is. And then you fast forward, and here we are, two big stars in a apartment in Los Angeles, pretending we're in my basement in New Jersey. See how nice?
See?
Yeah.
That's it. That's life. That's how it goes full
And he
circle.
gets the same amount of money today that he had then. Nothing. Nothing.
Pretty much.
You get pizzelles, but
That's
if you forget them, you don't get them.
Listen, the world of comedy, I'm paid $1,000 to do 10 minutes, and then somebody's like, "Hey, I need you to do an hour and a half. It's only 20 minutes from your house, so I can give you $75. Can you do that?" And you know what? You die a little bit inside every time, but you go, gotta pay the rent. That's it, or the mortgage, or whatever you're paying.
This is a comedian's life. And it's not just about the money, because even if you had great money, you're still going to take that $25 gig or the no money gig. If it's a friend of yours, you're going to say, "Can I get a sandwich?" There's something about wanting to perform that you're going to go. I just finished Carnegie Hall, made great money, biggest night of my life. The next day, "Hey man, I don't have any money. You want to do some stand-up at this coffee shop?" I'm like, "Where is it?" "Where is it?"
That's it.
"The coffee shop?" "Yeah."
The comics.
How many people? 3. Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, I was just talking to this church. It's bringing me into Northern Virginia, and they're like, "Well, we're afraid it might not be big enough for you." And I'm like, "Is there at least one person there to move the light and one person to laugh at jokes? I need 2. That's it. I can handle music. I can handle my own music. Just turn the light out while I'm on stage. That's all I need."
Yeah, you got to come and do this show. It's going to be huge. How many people are going to be there? People? We thought you brought them.
Dude,
They run the bus with you.
Yeah, we all tour together. Travel along, here's a song that we're singing.
Come on, get happy.
Yeah, that's how it is. Oh my gosh. The other show we did, the 2 shows that stand out that we did was the Long Beach Police Department. Do you remember that?
I'm getting old, man. I don't remember half of these things.
That was the show that it was the worst show that, as far as audience member goes. They were just a bunch of cops drunk all over. And I did 20 minutes and I insulted them at the end. And because I do everything clean now, I'm not going to say what I'd said, but because it was wrong. Basically, I can clean it up. I said it was a room full of fake boobs and real buttholes. And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. And then I handed it over to Mike and I watched again. Like, I think, because you looked at me, you're like, "Hey, listen, don't upset anybody. Just get up there, get them warmed up, be clean." And I was, right? Except for that last line. And I could see the look in your face where you went, "Oh, this is what you want." And I watched you rip them apart for 45 minutes. And I was just in awe, because they were drunk. They didn't want smart. They didn't want to think. It was the Christmas party, the entire Long Beach Police Department is in that one room. So people are just, committing crimes all around the city, and they knew it. But that was one of the hardest gigs that I ever did. But I watched you as a master just get up there and be like, "No, kid, watch. This is how it's done. This is what you guys want to do. Here we go." Right?
We've done so many different fundraisers for so many years, from the police departments, fire departments, EMTs. It's fun. You make these people who work really, really hard doing things that we could never even consider doing, and for small amounts of money. When did you come out to California? When did you move out here?
So I moved out in 2000. And so my story is I moved out in 2000. I was doing stand-up at the Funny Bone in Pittsburgh. And my best friend wanted to be an actor. And he's like, "Why don't we move to LA?" And he goes, "I know you want to be," because I really didn't want to be an actor. I wanted to be a comedian. I wanted to stand on stage, tell jokes. And so he's like, "How many comedians can be in LA? They're all in New York City." we'll go to LA. You'll make a big name for yourself because can't be any comedians in LA. They're all in New York. Like apparently he thought it was, you have the families. You got people who stay in LA, you got people who stay in New York, but nobody ever, crosses over. Now I came to LA, everybody was a comedian when I came out here.
Yeah, everybody.
And nobody, it didn't matter what you did before you came out here. And it was
cab driver.
Yep.
The crossing guard.
But
school teacher, the casting director, everybody's a stand-up comic.
He made a little name for himself doing some acting, and then because he's my best friend, he's actually my sensei. I consider my sensei. He took over our home karate school, and I hung up my ice skates. I hung up my belt, my black belt. Didn't train for years, and just came out here to make it big and stand up. And I survived and did make a good name for myself, and kept on the circuit with three secrets. Secret number one is I refused to just stay in LA and work the coffee shops because
good move.
There's about 5 other comics that they're like Jerry Corley was the headliner that taught me everything on the road, and they're like you got to get out of the city. So that was secret number one. Secret number two is I found a job that eventually paid me as much as I got paid when I was on tour. So if I stayed in town, I made money. If I went on town, I made money. So I had a consistency within my career. And that was DJing special events, predominantly bar and bat mitzvahs, because I look Jewish. There's a very thin line between Jews and Italians. People say that Jews invented guilt, but Italians perfected it. That's pretty much it. So I did that. And then the third is I eventually started producing my own shows, but not like the shows at the Laugh Factory, or the shows where you have 15 comedians come through, right? And the audience has nothing to do besides sit and drink. I went outside the city, started making and producing my own shows, bringing in real comedians, real headliners. And then I ended up booking for the Tribble runs out in the northwest. And so I wrote my own ticket.
I got to explain that. Tribble, what is his real name?
David Tribble.
David Tribble's a booker, and you would play these clubs in the middle of nowhere, and he put the string of shows together for you, and then you just went and did it.
String is not the word to use, because string would be like in California, we're going to do San Jose, San Francisco, we'll shoot over to Oakland, we'll come down, we'll do Los Angeles, then we'll do maybe Carlsbad and then San Diego. That's a string. He would be, all right, you're going to be in San Jose, then you're going to do San Diego, then we're going to come back to LA, then maybe go back to Oakland, then you're going to have a night off. Like it was never straight. So I'd be in Montana and you'd pass the same city 3 days in a row before you actually performed in that city because you were going back and forth.
Oh.
And it was like 4-hour drives, 6-hour drives. And, but at the end of the day, you're making, after merchandise, you're probably clearing about $300 a day. And if you were doing background extra work, you were only making $100. And if you were waiting tables. So
I used to love I still love going on the road. I mean, I'm not going to do that type of show. Now I'm going to make, as much money as I can in one night and then sleep the next day.
Of course, yeah.
And I'm not driving. I'm taking a plane.
You have your buddy Freddie drive for you. That's
He's a good actor. I think he has a chance to do some stand-up. We're talking about a friend of mine, fellow Italian actor, is only 22 years old. You watch, this kid's going to be big. He'll be the next, I don't know. He reminds me of this guy in, do you ever see the movie Top Gun Part 2?
Yes.
That good-looking guy. He's in the movie Twister.
Yes.
Kind of looks like him.
He does. And so an actor that I work with, Alex Randazzo, shameless plug, go watch the movie Lonesome Soldier. I was one of the producers on that film. And
you are?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Lonesome Soldier.
Lonesome Soldier.
Where
are we looking at it?
So you can get it off of Amazon, Apple TV. I don't think we're on Hulu, but Amazon's the number one right now.
You're a producer on it?
Yep.
Nobody called me. Nobody called me. I would audition. I'd go to the reading. Mm-hmm. Then I'd complain. What do you mean I didn't get it?
So this is what I'm going to hear for the next many years of my life.
2 different things he's going to hear. One,
I didn't do a movie.
I should have been in it.
And there were no pizzelles. That was it. Like they should have. Like
you want to know why we both did that? because we're comics.
That's it. That's
and
it.
we just created a callback. There's
Boom.
going to be one more.
That's it. But
There'll be 3 by the end of the podcast.
Of course.
And then we'll end that way.
But you know what? The next film we do, I will find a good role for you, right? And there will be pizzelles in your green room. That's how I make up for it.
I don't think there's ever been pizzelles in a green room. That would be hilarious. Did you imagine that? And there's a burnt one. At the bottom of the pile, there's a burnt one. That'll be the one I crunch on. I dip it in syrup. And a Zed. I want a pizzelles right now so bad.
All right, so now I'm really. Do you know what I do if I have time? I take the pizzelles when they're warm. I roll them like a cannoli, and then instead of making the cannoli crust, I make them out of pizzelles.
No shit. Mm-hmm. Pizzelle crust.
Pizzelle crust cannolis.
You can't even say it like a tough guy. That's a pizzelle crust.
Pizzelle crust. Every time you
mine's burnt.
Yeah, every time I watch The Sopranos, they're always tough. They're like, yeah, put the cannolis in the box. Like they go you can't say the word cannoli. Just how it is.
Isn't it amazing, if we go off track for a quick second, that the most iconic line in the movie was never written as an iconic line?
Which was?
Leave the gun, take the cannolis.
Of course.
Nobody even knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
He just did it as a throwaway. Might not even have been in the script. Most classic movie line of all time.
People don't understand Italians at our core. We are, you go to the Renaissance artists. We create, you hand us a script, we go, okay. And then we create from that. Like that's Italians we're artists. We see something. I don't know about you, but I see something. I'm like, I think that could be better. That's just like, I got fired from Sullivan and Son. One of the main reasons, top reason, I got into a fight with Vince Vaughn, who's the executive producer. That's a story in itself.
That'll do it.
But the other thing is, the lines were being delivered, and I'm like, oh, it'd be funnier if he did this. And so I'm texting Steve Byrne on set, punch-ups. He's like, I can't say that. And I'm like, why couldn't you say that? But then I learned a writer on a television show, if they get shown up by somebody else, it's not like comedians. We're like, oh, I love that. Here, let me try that. If they get showed up, they're afraid that now the guy that wrote better than them is going to have their job. So whatever they write can't be outdone. And I did not know that until they're like, well, thanks. It was nice to have you on the first 5 episodes, but now you're gone.
So you got in a fight with Vince Vaughn?
I got into a fight.
We could talk about it. He's not watching.
No, of course, no.
Vince.
He's never going to see this.
You want to do the podcast?
So, I've never told this on this kind of format, so I'm excited. So, doing all those bar and bat mitzvahs, I had a lot of A-list clientele. The late great. Why am I drawing a blank? I'm this old. No.
Carl Reiner.
Late great.
I took a shot.
No. Full House. Why am I'm 47 years old. Bob Saget. Bob Saget. So late great Bob Saget. I did his daughter's mitzvah. We became friends over the fact that I didn't even want to tell him I was a comedian. When I sat down, and the event planner is like, Rocky, tell him what you do. I'm like, I do karate. It's like, no, tell him what you do. I'm like, because like you're looking at this guy who's success, right? And then I'm like, because in that format, I'm not trying to, like we used to always say when you go to a bar mitzvah, don't bring your headshots. Like you're there, it doesn't matter who you meet, just do your job. So that was in my mindset. So finally I said, I'm a comedian. He's like, oh, well, where are you working? The same thing. Isn't that cute? Like, where are you working? Are you doing the Laugh Factory open mic? I'm like, well, I just came back from the Improv at Pittsburgh. Oh, who was the headliner? It was me. And he went, what? And I'm like, yeah. So he pulls it up on the calendar, goes, you're hired. That was the end of the interview. He says, you're a comedian, you'll know everything I want you to do. That was it.
Yeah, well, that's true.
And that was it. And so I clients like him, we just did last year we did Catherine Hahn, who's the star of she's the Red Witch and all the Marvel characters.
Haven't seen it.
Fantastic. And so at the time, Jeff Nagler, he was the vice president of Warner Brothers, was the vice president of the studios, ended his career as the president of Warner Brothers Studios. And he was a close friend of mine. He he and I, if I was on the studio or my family came in, they were doing a Warner Brothers tour, I'd give him a text message. He'd come down. The joke was, here, let me buy you lunch. Because at Warner Brothers, you can go eat at Paquito Mas. It's free. Because when you're on studio, you just go in and order whatever. So I'd always say, hey, I'll buy lunch. You want to go to Paquito Mas? I'll buy lunch. So it was a day where Vince Vaughn and I were arguing over ice hockey of all things. And so my background, I played hockey since I was 4. That was my best love, my number one love. My karate school that I own is inside the ice rink up in Valencia. We rent the Valencia. We rent the pro shop, right? So I referee, so I'm up there all the time. And so we're arguing hockey, and Vince Vaughn obviously doesn't like the Pittsburgh Penguins because he's a Blackhawks fan. And so we were going toe to toe. And he looks at me and he says, "Why does your opinion even matter? Who are you on this show?" I'm the executive producer. What do you do again? And I was just basically a glorified background because they were creating a role for me for season 2, which never happened because I got fired in season 1, right? So I got so upset with this, and I'm like, all right, so we're in a peeing contest. I got this. So I called Jeff. I'm like, hey, we're on set. Can I buy you lunch? So he comes down, and so he and I are just sitting during lunch, and I'm like, hey, would you like to meet the cast? So I take him over and I introduce him to who was on the show. I met Ahmed, Roy Jones Jr. I introduced him to Steve Byrne, and Vince Vaughn comes walking over, and I've already told them who he is. And so Vince comes over, and I go, Vince, and I knew exactly how to word it. I go, Vince, this is my friend Jeff. He's a big fan. And Jeff just looks, Vince looks at him and goes, and who are you again? And he goes, oh, I just work here at the studio. I'm nobody. And so the look on Vince's face was like, why are you introducing me to this total stranger? And I go, Vince, Jeff's actually the vice president of the studios. And so I walk away thinking I won, right? Because I made him look stupid in front. And so we walk away. And of course, Jeff I'm not going to say what Jeff said, but he had an opinion about Vince because of it. And I thought, hey, look at me, forgetting I'm still nobody. He's the executive producer. And I broke probably more than one, but I broke a continuity, scene where I'm wearing the jacket in one scene, and then you've got the t-shirt in the next scene. And so it's like flashing back and forth. And they're like, what the hell, man? Like, this guy, can't he be a tree? Just stand in the background, shut up, be a tree. My ex-wife looked at me when we lost that job. She's like, you couldn't be a tree. Just shut up. Couldn't be a tree. And I'm like, well, I got into a fight with Vince Vaughn. Just be a tree. Trees don't fight with Vince Vaughn. Like, so and your fight Vaughn. Didn't make it to TMZ. It's here on Live from My Mother's Basement. That's it. Hey, Vince. Don't ever watch this show. No. I am good friends with Ahmed, though. Oh, yeah. And I love that guy. He's a great, great comedian. And he's fantastic. Yeah. Well, it was that. And the big thing and how I learned about the writers is George Wallace played Roy Jones's father on the one episode. It was a dart tournament. And so I was cast as one of the dart teams. So I'm standing right beside George Wallace and Jones, and we're cutting up. I'm the kind of guy, like, I'm the class clown. I don't know who you are. I don't care. People are always like, don't talk to the stars. Like, don't feed the animals. George and I are just messing around every shot, everything we can do. And there's a scene where they're being reprimanded by the one like waitress. And so him and Roy, I gotta do this hand, him and Roy do the fist up thing. And so it's getting laughs, right? And so George looks at me and he goes, listen, the next take, wait about a second and a half after we put our hands up. Then you put your hand up. So we did, right? So you got Roy and Jordan, they put their hands up like this, and I give one of these, and I put my hand, he grabs my hand and puts it down, and the audience just erupted. Well, the directors are like, cut. Who told the white guy he could do it? Like, that was it. Like, and I learned very quickly that I had to curb my Italianism because they don't need help. They have it all together. So yeah. There's so many different projects that we get to work on. Some fun, some not so fun. I'm here doing my podcast.
luckily, this is like, I don't even know what episode this is, but we're well over 350.
Whoa!
And we air every Tuesday night. It's been a lot of fun. We've been having some cool-ass sponsors. I've been having great, cool-ass guests that I know from the past or people who I don't know, from comedians, actors, sometimes producers, models, singers, actresses, doctors, lawyers, you name it, chefs.
And today he's
who
got all
actually
of them.
bring the pizzelles.
It's big the pizzelles.
Actually cooked them on the show.
Wow.
Yeah, see? Wow. Is that 4 callbacks I've done so far?
That's more. That's more than 4. That's more than
4.
That's more than the pizzelles I brought.
We had
4 more than 4 more.
There was something else about fish.
We did the fish.
Is it going to be? I already forgot. We have to rewind.
We'll rewind.
But what's going on in your career?
So my career, still doing shows, still doing tours. I'm focusing more on corporate and the fundraisers, churches, being clean.
It's more money.
It's more money.
It's easier. You don't have to draw a crowd. So for you folks out there who would like to hire a stand-up comedian for like a private event, a party, or to just host an awards banquet, maybe to roast someone, a 50th anniversary, 65th birthday, 25, you name it, comedians can show up and make your party just off the chain.
That's it.
And you can get a great price because you're not hiring a whole band. They don't have to be there all night long. You're not paying by the hour. So supposing you're just having a birthday party, a comedian could walk in for a half hour to 45 minutes, roast the shit out of everybody, take your money and leave.
That's pretty much it.
Mm-hmm. But he does that.
Yes. And you know what? You can get that for, you get comedians that'll do that for $100 to $200. And I'll tell you right now though, what you don't get with somebody like Mike or myself or other great, Jerry Corley's another great corporate guy. They're going to make sure that when we walk out the door, nobody is offended, especially if it's a business, because you don't need HR getting 20 emails on Monday because the wrong thing was said. So hiring a great, clean comedian who can work the crowd and know what to do, that's why when Mike was saying the money's there, that's why we get paid for our expertise.
Yeah. You can go to a party and there might be kids walking around.
Oh my God.
You go to another party, there's senior citizens. So it's good to have that. Plus, I enjoy personally hosting awards galas because I could put on my tuxedo. Good evening. Welcome to the show. It's not easy for people who think they can do it or who belong to that business. But when you hire somebody outside the business, it keeps it moving. You have fun. We throw in jokes every once in a while. We take your money and we leave.
That's actually what started me in stand-up. I was teaching karate and the award banquet came around and they're like, hey, listen, you're such a character. And I'd written some jokes on, about karate. And so I hosted it. And then that way I loved it. And when you're teaching karate, by the way, every night I have an audience. I've got the parents, I got the kids, you got some callback jokes, but always you make them laugh, they pay attention. People are always like, there's something about you. Like, what is it? I'm like, I keep people laughing because when you get yelled at, you will work harder, or when you're laughing. Those are the two things that you remember. You remember good memories, you remember bad memories. So if I can teach kids with good memories, then when they go out the door, they're more confident. And for me, Mike, I'm likable. You asked what was going on. So we just got back from Portugal, right? And so skip ahead back to June when we were in Detroit. So I took my son to the National Karate Championships. And
he does karate?
He does karate. All 3 of my kids do. And
how long you actually been teaching karate?
I started teaching right after I got my black belt in 96. So
you've been teaching a very long time.
Very, very long time.
You had your own school.
I had my own school.
And you're deadly.
Wow. If you see me the way I drive, I'm horrible.
What degree of black belt are you?
So I'm now studying for my 5th degree.
Right.
And so I actually did the math. I've been doing karate for 36 years.
Holy shit.
So my lineage, so my sensei, my karate dad is Bill Viola. He and Frank Caligiuri, 2 good paisans, they created the sport of MMA. I have nothing to do with this.
Holy shit, really?
Mm-hmm. I have nothing to do with this.
Everybody thinks it's Dana White.
Everybody does. Go watch the movie. It's a documentary. called Tough Guys, about the birth of an American sport. And it's actually produced by my best friend, Bill Viola Jr. He wrote a book, same title, Tough Guys, all about how MMA started. They made it into a documentary. We're in the works of actually making it into a full film. Which
that would be great.
Yeah, I got some, because a lot of Paisans. I got a great role for you. The two gentlemen, Mike Murray and Dave Jones, are the first two guys to ever fight in the first MMA fight for a tournament. Dave Jones actually taught me all my basics when I think he was still a blue or green belt at the time. And that was, 91?
Well, how come their name isn't all over MMA?
So go watch the documentary. I don't want to ruin it for you. Watch the documentary. It explains everything on why that whole sport was underground and hidden for years, and why the UFC came along and Dana White had a way of making it. There's politics. There's special Italian family members. Can we say that on the show?
Really?
Mm-hmm. It explains. It's the Monzo family in Pittsburgh had a lot to do with how it started, and then the government came in, explains on why it stopped. But it's a great film. Bill's, besides being a world-class martial artist, so our background, I started in karate because I just wanted to get better at playing hockey. And I thought, if I get to pros, I got to learn how to fight.
Everybody thinks the same thing. Hockey, karate. Okay.
Yeah, we got to learn how to fight. You
Perfect.
just can't kick.
I just don't want to miss this on the MMA thing, because
Yeah.
I love watching MMA.
Okay.
One of the most amazing things for me to watch is the women beating the living shit out of each other.
Right.
And they don't stop until that person is out.
Of course. Because
And,
they're cat.
and it just makes you wonder, how the fuck do these people say, you know what, let me get in the ring. There's a good chance I'll lose my teeth and I'll get fucking brain damage, but might as well do it.
So I can answer. So I've never done an MMA fight. I did more sport karate, point fighting, where you're still hitting. It's like fencing with your hand and feet, but you're not just touching somebody with a sword. I've had my nose broken 22 times.
Really?
Yeah, it's from hockey. These are $20,000 implants, those teeth. I had them knocked out playing hockey, and I kept them out for 10 years. Because when you step into the ring, and I used to have a clear mouth guard, and the guy smiles and he's got no teeth, that'll take you down. You're like, this guy's got nothing to lose. Like, he can't get knocked out. His front teeth are gone, right?
What's it like to even get knocked out?
So sometimes it's the best nap you could ever have. Like, there's no dreams. There's no nothing.
You don't hear the birds?
I've seen stars. People go, you see stars. I see what you call sparkles. I see sparkles. I was teaching a year and a half ago. I was teaching about and it's really when you get hit with the nerves. People think that's just your brain. No, there's a nerve that runs up the side of your leg right here. And I go, you kick it right, you'll see some sparkles. And so I'm going to throw a shout out. Xander Eddy. He is won over 20 world titles at our home dojo. And young kid, he's hard to catch. He's fast. And so I'm working with them, teaching them self-defense. And I go, you'll see sparkles. And he goes, what are sparkles, Sensei? He's a 15-year-old kid. I kick him in the leg. He goes, ah! I go, do you see them? He goes, yes. And he just looks around. It's beautiful. But you'll get the sparkles. Half the time I've had the nose broken. It's all the way over here. And I'm standing and I pop it back into place. And that too will freak somebody out. When you hit somebody, you break their nose and they don't. It's like you knock somebody's eye out. They go here. And they just pop it back into place. So,
Wow.
And there's an adrenaline you get. So Portugal, and we'll come back to MMA. We'll bring it all around. So Portugal, I've been coaching my son. Last year he was on the U.S. team. 98, both Bill Jr. and myself were on the U.S. team, the United States Karate Federation, for traditional karate to go to the Olympics. We were part of the Olympic team pool. And back then, the Olympics wasn't in the karate yet. It doesn't have the backing that it has now, which is fantastic. But for us to go in international competition, you're looking at $6,000 easy a piece to go over to Spain or go over anywhere. And at that time, we had parents and coaches that looked out for us to be like, listen, even if you win, all you're going to get is that title. It doesn't make you better. One of the greatest martial artists in U.S. history, Doug Selchin, he's a great martial artist, but he's known nowadays. He's a big executive supervisor for UPS. You know, it's not what you think. Like, you become the best at a sport. Now everybody circulates around you. That's how it wasn't back then. Now it's getting better, but karate that's in the Olympics now is watered down. I could break your nose. That would be a good point. I break your nose now. They're like, that's excessive. You know, all sports have rules because they want to keep the athletes safe to compete longer. Like, you look at the game of hockey does not have the big hits that it used to. Even in football, you don't see guys trying to kill each other.
Well, that's kind of sad.
I know.
I used to watch hockey just for the fight.
Exactly.
Put on the hockey game.
I think that's it.
There's going to be a fight.
100%.
So wait a minute. Ooh, before I forget, you're a big fan of hockey, of course.
Yes.
Did you know that I had Bernie Parent on my
Okay, I have a Bernie Parent story that has to do with a comedian.
Really?
Yes. So we're going to pause my ADHD. Don't let me forget. We're going to come back to my son karate. So somebody gave me this sculpture of Philadelphia Flyer goalie Bernie Parent, right? And it was beautiful. But I'm a Penguins fan. We don't really like Philadelphia. We got nothing. But it was and I was a goalie when I started, so I loved this thing. And so, and I just had his name. The guy who used to book the David Letterman, comedian. What was his name? See, I hate getting old.
Brill.
Yes, Eddie Brill.
Eddie Brill.
So Eddie Brill was up. We were up in Washington, and I met Eddie, and he was doing his joke about. You've ever heard his joke about? It's pronounced Bernie Parent. He goes, nobody speaks like that. He goes, at the end of the month, you don't look at your landlord. I'm saying, I'm sorry, I can't pay my rent. And so he did. It was hysterical, making fun of French Canadians and their accent and how they talk. And I told him, I go, listen, I have this statue, and when you come to LA, I want to give it to you because I'm not a Philadelphia Flyers fan at all, but it symbolizes your joke, and I want to give it to you. I'm a gift giver. Don't bring up the Pizzelles. So, so I tell him, when you come to LA, I'm gonna give it to you. So sure enough, he comes to LA, and I bring him this, and it's a big, big statue. So he calls me later to say, I forgot that I couldn't put it in my bag, so it was my carry-on, and I had it wrapped up in my jacket. Then I had to walk the streets of New York City because New York Rangers hate. They hate the Philly. So he's like covering it, like carrying it like, because I had to carry it like a football.
Yeah.
5 blocks from where he got off the subway to get to his place. And it was just a great story. But yeah, Bernie, wow, that's impressive. Out of anybody you could have on the show, honestly, that's one of the most impressive people.
I was in Philadelphia, and I'm friends with someone who does wigs, creates wigs for cancer patients, people who lost their hair. And she's very, very well known. She's a friend. Then she married Bernie Parent.
No way.
And I don't really know hockey anymore like I did when I was a kid. So she said to me, yeah, I married Bernie Parent. He's a famous goalie. And I did a show in Philadelphia, and he was there. And I made a mention that he was in the audience, and everybody lost their shit. And I'm like, holy crap. And so I said to her, can I have him on my podcast? So I had Bernie Parent on the podcast. Oh, wow. And he autographed all kinds of cool shit. And he was just the greatest interview. He had the rings for being a Stanley Cup guy and the whole 9 yards. But I had hockey shirts from when I was like 10 years old.
Right.
And I had a Philadelphia Flyers shirt. And the Rangers, of course, we all had the Rangers from New Jersey. So he autographed the Philadelphia Flyer shirt. It's hanging in the basement in New Jersey.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome!
Isn't that something?
That's not. You don't have to tell me your friend's exact age, but around what age is she?
Oh, she's a lot younger than Bernie, as far as I remember. Okay. Is that what you mean?
Well, my dad was a pioneer. He was a barber, but he was a pioneer in hair restorations and wigs and toupees and stuff. There's a very good chance after the show
they know each other.
Very good chance she may know my dad.
She's a hairstylist and known for creating the wigs for cancer patients. That's good. I saw her do it. You know, someone who's completely bald looks phenomenal.
Did she give you one?
I don't have any wigs, no. I got wigs when I do my characters.
Yeah, I know. That's why I wanted.
There was a girl on the internet who came at me and asked if I would do a fundraiser to help her raise money to get a wig.
Oh, no way.
And I said, hey, I got a great idea. I'll do this on the internet. We won't even do a show. So I raised the money on the internet, and this woman did her wig.
That's
for
fantastic.
free.
That is phenomenal.
Playing it forward, I mean, there's no Pizzelles here, but everything else I did.
I tell you what, though, there's something. So I grew up in a very hair-oriented family. So my 1976, my dad was international hairstylist of the year.
Really? Wow.
I grew up with this giant trophy sitting in my dad's barber shop. And then when I first won my first big karate trophy, it was about that height. I was like, yeah, Dad, look, mine's bigger. Like, I got so excited, right?
My trophy's bigger than me, Dad.
Yeah. My 4-year-old Sterling, he's now 13. At 4 years old, he won a Grand Champion award, right? And we brought it back on an airplane. And they're like, I'm sorry, you can't bring that on the plane. I go, you tell him.
Yeah.
Little 4-year-old little carrying this trophy down the aisle. And this guy, and I'm like, we can stick it up. It'll fit up in the on the overhead. Can we get this, just move this bag down? And this businessman's like, I'm not moving my bag. And so he looks out and then he sees the trophy and he looks at my son. He goes, what'd you get that trophy for? Just very like, what'd you get the trophy for? And my son looks right at him and goes, karate. Guy hopped up out of the bag, grabbed the chip bag. It's like,
That's funny.
He's like, I don't know, little Jackie Chan here. I don't need kicked in the shins.
I'm not going to move that trophy. What's it for anyway? I beat the shit out of somebody twice your size. Let me go ahead and just move that for you.
Let me move that for you. That's. I appreciate that. So
we'll get back to the MMA thing.
The MMA. So yeah. So we'll get back to the MMA thing. We got to stop off at the Portugal stuff. So on the way to nationals with my son, 3 days before nationals, I said, hey, why don't we do synchronized forms? Why don't we, we never practice. I just wanted to go, hey, let's get out there today. Synchronized. Kata is doing movements as hard as you can. It's flat, it's sharp, it's amazing, right? And so I'm like, why don't we do synchronized forms, you and me, and we'll get Daniel, who's one of our teammates from Pittsburgh. And I wanted to do it just to connect with my son, and he was 15 at the time. And we took number 2 in the United States behind the current, and at the time, the 2-time world champions. The top 2 people, we took second to them. That's okay.
I love watching people do kata, man.
So
it is some badass shit.
Well, we end up, I go, okay, well, why don't I compete in these other events too, just to get the dust off? Because I wasn't really practicing. Took first place in weapons, first place in forms. My son took 3rd and 4th in his divisions. So I looked at my fiance at the time. I got to think, fiance, yeah, because we got married. No, yeah, we got married the end of June. So fiance at the time, I'm like, hey, listen, we qualify to go to Portugal this year.
She's over there.
She's over there, yeah. She's here. Well, I thought, there's nobody in the studio.
We can't say anything. There's nobody here.
I know. That's it. So she's my security detail. She. So I said,
she ate the pizzelles in the car. That's what.
She's the reason the pizzelles are gone. So anyway, we go to Portugal. We raise money. We get over there, and 2 weeks up before the 2 weeks before the tournament we're leaving, I decide I'm going to fight. I haven't fought in years. I have a very thin cornea from an eye disease, and the doctor's like, that gets hit right, it explodes.
Ooh.
So no fighting for you. So I called the director, and I'm like, hey, listen, what's the fighting division look like for us old timers? And so he goes, yeah, you'll probably be looking at about 8 or 9. And I said, sign me up. So I went in, and I ended up taking 5th in the world in fighting, and brought home 3 silver world championships in kata. So Edgar Cordova, this guy's phenomenal out of Guatemala. He brought home, he competed in 9 divisions, brought home silver, 1 silver, 1 bronze, and the other ones were all gold medal.
Oh, wow.
The guy's phenomenal. Like, absolutely, to be beaten by somebody like that is like, you owe respect. And he turns around and looks at me and says, it's an honor to compete against you. You didn't make it easy on me. And that's touching. The guy I fought in Canada, this guy blasted him in the face the first time we come in so hard, he kind of shakes it off. He goes, are we fighting like that today? I went, yes, we are. And a couple seconds later, he hits me, and I'm like, oh, my teeth are there. Let's keep. And it was great. It was great. You don't see fighting and athleticism like that. And like we were texting still shots of each other during the Jake Paul fight and Mike Tyson. I'm like, you think they need one of these? And then he'd send me back. He's like, remember when I hit you like this? I'm like, yeah, how about this? So thank God for social media. You can have friends from all over the world.
I'm glad that there's sportsmanship like conduct.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Great sportsmanship conduct.
Because sometimes you see some nasty people and they're mean as shit.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, not to bring it back up, but there was an MMA fight. This guy comes running out, kicked the guy in the chin, and he dropped him, and he was out. But the other guy punched him 2 more times. And then actually shook his ass in front of him as if to say,
yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy could be dead.
So one of the guys who I've trained with is Chinzo Machida and his brother Lyoto Machida. These guys.
Chinzo.
Yeah, these guys.
What a great name.
Chinzo, yeah. He's, they're Portuguese, but Chinzo sounds Italian.
Chinzo. Hey, Chinzan.
So Chindan. So Lyoto will knock somebody out, and as soon as they do, boom, he'll kneel beside them and wait for them to come to. There's a respect about these traditional martial artists.
Yeah.
And then you get these street fighters in there. And these street fighters are just, they're out there. There's no respect. There's no class. And, to take it all the way back to the birth of the MMA, and it explains, and that I can tell you about. It all started with who would win, a wrestler or a boxer, a karate guy. And they sat down at a diner and go, let's just make it. They're karate tournament promoters. They're like, let's do it. It was called Battle of the Tough Guys. Was the original no holds barred in a boxing ring, and they could throw, jiu-jitsu, anything, and they did the right safety equipment and everything back then. And it was does that mean my laundry's done.
No, when the bell rings, it means we made $5.
Oh. Every time a bell rings, a comedian gets its wings. But actually, that means you just got a gig. Every time the bell rings, you get a gig. So that was it. Like it was a blue collared town. It was in Pittsburgh, Ohio, and New York, that tri-state area. And these guys were fighting to win money for a way out. Yeah. They were looking like this was.
Well, how did they lose the rights to it?
Oh, I don't want to ruin the doc, but
okay, then tell everybody where to watch the doc, because I'll go look at it.
I'll tell you, but I want you guys, because I don't want you. Let's you know what, I can tell you. There was a fatality.
I'm sure there was.
There's a fatality.
You wonder why there's no fatalities now.
Well,
these guys beat the living shit out of each other. I don't know how the girls do it.
There's a lot of unspoken rules. For instance, you'll watch certain fights where you'll see the fighters kicking the hell out of each other's legs. And then you might watch another fight and they don't do that. Ever wonder why?
No.
Because the fighters sit down and they go, okay, these are our gentleman rules, right? A fighter who may have a bad knee may go, hey, listen, we're putting on a good fight. We're both getting paid. We want longevity in the sport. This isn't, okay, legs are off limits. Then you go into other ones and they're just trying to break each other's kneecaps. Like you see these certain things. Some fights, you'll never see a hammer fist thrown because maybe a fighter's recovering from a broken hand. So, hey, we're taking hammer fist away. But both fighters agree to that stuff. It's all unspoken. Nothing's on paper. It's just like if you and I are going to mess around, we're like, hey, let's slap box. No closed hands, only open hands. Okay, right? Nothing to the face, punch each other in the stomach. Because all martial arts organizations, they have fighting rules. You could go to one tournament. Like I'm highly involved with WACO. It's the World Association for the Kickboxing Organizations. In February 28th, March 1st and 2nd, I will be in Columbus, Ohio. As the logistics director, we are picking the U.S. national team, and the team members are going to Dubai this coming year. So each division has their own certain rules. One is full contact, one's light contact, and you may go from Luaco to WKC, which I was in Portugal, and they have a different set of rules. Like a guy, if you hit somebody and then you trip, you fall and you go to the ground, no point. You lost your balance. Other tournaments, they don't care. You can put your hand on the ground. You can do a backflip and kick somebody in the face. There's tournament organizations out here. They allow groin kicks. And I'm like, what?
I should be in that one.
They're like, yeah, you can kick somebody. I'm like, what about face contact? No, can't punch somebody in the face. But you can kick him in the groin. Well, like with control? Well, you should wear a cup. I'm like, what? Like you kick me between the legs. I forgot every rule that I agreed to. Like there's a good chance I've knocked out.
I wouldn't mind doing a MMA / street fight for older people. So it's all about sucker punches and kicking somebody in the balls. Kick me in the balls. You weren't looking.
That was it.
You weren't looking. I win.
Poke him in the eyes.
Would you win?
Would you? Pit cells.
I gave it to him.
It took me a second because I was going to other. Well,
are you deadly? Can you really fight? Street fight? Like if somebody came up to you on the street and said, give me your wallet. Nah, we can't really show too much more.
No, I can't show. I'm going to show you. I'm just going to show you this. Your reaction. Well, I've been in many street fights. In hockey, I led a league. I had led a junior league in fights. The only fight I ever lost in juniors was fighting one of my own teammates because I stuck him in the face and he got mad and started swinging at me. And I didn't really fight back because I felt, I deserve it. I hit you.
So like if somebody came up to you on the street and said, listen, give me your wallet, give me your money, you could defend yourself.
Yes. And that's such a great question. That starts with this question. What's in my wallet? What's around me? Am I with my wife? Am I with my kids? My wallet? Listen, I hardly keep cash. I can cancel anything in it. I don't have anything of importance. Take my wallet. When people are pulling a gun on you most of the time, they don't want to kill you. Sometimes there's not even a bullet in the gun. They're just afraid. So a gun is an entirely different thing. But if I'm afraid of my life, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run. Because the hardest thing to do is hit a moving target. I have tons of friends in law enforcement. They have to shoot thousands of rounds to just keep up their what they call certifications or training, right? My wife, there's a cluster of a target. It is that close. She shoots expert and always one bullet down by the nuts. She comes up. She goes, look,
nice.
Yeah, one. I'm like, why? She goes, I have a training instructor. Like, do you hate men? And her answer is, that'll stop somebody. And it's the truth. But she shoots expert. Moving target, she's like, that's impossible to hit. So free advice, run. Somebody pulls a gun on you, you can run. Don't run in a straight line. like run, just run. Now, if somebody pulls a knife on me, rule number 1, again, run. Unless it's a circus juggler throwing knives, you're fine.
Yeah,
but
who thinks of shit like that?
Right, but if somebody swings...
I was approached on the street once, and I'm a tough guy from New Jersey.
Right.
And I knew exactly how to defend myself. The guy said to me flat out, I'm going to beat the living shit out of you. And I just went, oh, please do. And he didn't. I don't know what happened.
That's fantastic. I was once teaching self-defense, and I was teaching like somebody grabs you in a bear hug. What do you do? I'll show you. I go, what do you do? Right? So I show these kids how to get out of this self-defense. So I grab this one kid, and I grab him like this, and he just takes his hand and starts going across my arm. I'm like, ah! He goes, you let go, didn't you? And I'm like, I got a point. You got a point.
Could you imagine that? Well, fuck you up. Oh my God.
It's just, well, yeah, like you act in a way that they don't want to fight you. I had one guy. Remember my fake teeth, my teeth were fake. It's college days. I was at the University of Pitt Greensburg. This guy goes, I'm going to knock your teeth out. Some other colorful explanatives in there. I took my teeth out, sat them on the table, went, now what do you want to do? And he goes, and he just walked away, right? So here, I'll show you this. This is from Portugal. That's me.
Put it up on, is it a picture or a movie?
It's a picture.
Oh.
So that's me punching the guy from Canada, Sandy. Guy.
Which one are you?
I'm the red, white, and blue. Canada's the black and red. And then,
this is Rocky.
Yeah.
Beating the shit out of somebody. He's in the blue.
Yeah. I actually lost that fight in overtime. It was a great fight. That guy hits, like he actually knocked out the guy from Germany in the next round after me. That's it.
Give me my pizzelles.
I've had 3 physical altercations in comedy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Other comedians?
No, never other comedians.
From stage to someone?
From stage to someone.
An
So,
irate
so the first one
fan?
first one was a guy comes up. I was at the 8th Street Comedy Club down in Odessa, Texas, and it was the booker of I was the first time I ever thought I'm not getting paid. Like
It's a triple run.
No, yeah, it was about that bad, right? And so after the show, there was these Hispanic guys, Mexicans, I'm not sure, but they were just talking the whole way through the act. And back then, you were allowed to reference. To nowadays, I'd be cancel cultured for the things, unless you're Matt Rife, then you can say whatever you want. But back then, I slammed these guys down. I shut them down from heckling, and that was it. And after the show, the guy comes up to me, buys a CD, buys a T-shirt, has me autograph both of them to Javier, and then as he's shaking my hand, he goes to sucker punch me.
Oh, no shit.
And as soon as his arm tightened up, I instantly react. So I lean back. His fist just grazes my head, but I'm in such a way that I bring my leg up around and I side kick him in the chest and slam him up against the wall. And then the bouncers that were there, they grab him, they throw him out the door. And in my immediate reaction is, I want to go outside and just kick this guy's ass. I'm going to go outside right now. And then I looked at the line of people that still want to buy T-shirts and CDs, and I went, nope, who wants a free CD? And I threw out the CD, and I sold $400 in merch that night.
See?
Yeah.
Well, listen, I want you to tell everybody where they can find you all over the internet, whether they want karate lessons or to come and see you perform.
So RockyW.com, because nobody can spell Whatule. RockyW.com is the website that has everything. But find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram at Rocky Whatule. But you can find those links on my website as well. If you're in the Los Angeles area and you want to learn great martial arts, or just come and check out a show here, I'm in the city of Santa Clarita in Valencia, the karate school. You can Google SenseiRocky.com. That'll take you to the dojo website, and you can find out what's going on and you can train. And then so you'll definitely have to come in and read for one of these roles for the MMA movie.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I could be a coach.
Yeah.
Get in there, kill him. I'm over here eating pizzelles.
That's it. I could see you eating pizzelles.
Yeah.
So what's the latest with you? What's upcoming with you?
Oh, hey, man, I'm doing my podcast and I'm touring like a maniac and everybody knows where to find me. And we do got to get going. And if you do want to find me, you want to keep on watching this show, this podcast airs every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Jersey time exclusively on my YouTube channel, Mike Marino Live on YouTube. We're also on Spotify and Italian American Radio out of New York City. Big shout out to my producer, Tatiana Blue Shell, for always making sure we have a great guest come on the show. And the shows are produced fantastic, and you can watch them anytime you want once they're posted on my YouTube channel. We got to get going. We've had a lot of fun down here in the basement. It's great reuniting with a fellow entertainer that you don't get to see all the time. And remember, let's make America Italian again. You know the motto, you don't know nothing, you don't see nothing, you don't say nothing. And how do I end every single one of my podcasts? By saying the same thing along with my guest.
Don't take no shit from nobody.
No, it's don't take no shit from nobody.
That's what I said.
We're not
don't
gonna
take no shit.
Let's start again. Ready?
Ready.
Don't take no shit from nobody. Especially him. Because he'll kick your ass.
And I will eat my pizzelles in front of you.
Somebody, give me the fucking burnt one. Jeez. Hey folks, thanks for watching live from my mother's basement. I hope you enjoyed the show. And if you did, hit the word like and leave me a really cool comment. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the future episodes and you can watch some of the funniest videos on the internet. You can also listen to the show on Spotify or your favorite podcast app.